Hey guys, welcome back to Empower Field at Mile High in Denver. I'm Kris Keefer. Welcome to RacerX Online. This is Ben Griffith, Team Honda HRC wrench for Jo Shimoda, the number 30. Sushi is what we like to call him around here. So we're at Elevation. That's the theme of the day. We've been talking about engine packages with other teams. So Ben, let's talk about Jo's engine package. Again, we wanted to do this later in the season to see what has evolved. Okay. Has his engine evolved as the season went on?
No, not this year with Jo. His engine's been pretty much the same from when we tested. We had a little run out going to Paris, so we got to ride this 25 bike there, so it's a good little shakedown for him. Done a little bit more testing after that on the motor, and then coming into A1, basically until this race, the engine hasn't changed at all. We've kept the same engine spec for him the whole time.
So we did this with you last year, and I guess the differences between last year's bike, obviously we know the chassis portion of it, but his engine spec, has that evolved from last year? And maybe if you can't get into specifics, what has changed from last year?
Yeah, there's a few things that have changed with him. Not a great deal when it comes to it. Like his muffler's changed a little bit, little bit in the gearing, but generally he's pretty much where he was from last year, to be honest. Obviously, same as everything, our mapping's got better. We changed fuel, so we had to map for that. So it's actually given us a bit more power, which has been good. But he's just changed his mapping more than anything than I would say his actual engine spec to give him a kind of a better feel.
So more connection, a little bit more bottom end?
Yeah, Jo likes, he doesn't like too much engine braking. He doesn't like the bike diving. It's a bit old school, likes the old two-stroke feel.
Yeah, I was talking to Joel before we got on the camera, and he was telling me what he looks for in an engine. He wants that free feeling engine.
Yeah,
so.
He likes that free feeling because obviously with the engine brake it can make the bike dive, and Honda's got a lot of pitch in it, so take that away and it gives him a better feel, and he feels more comfortable on it basically.
Obviously there's factory transmissions you hear a lot about in the broadcast. These Supercross riders, they get into first gear. Is Jo a first gear guy coming into some rhythms?
No, that's one thing he doesn't like. Okay. Chance is a first gear guy, but Jo's the opposite. He really likes to use the torque of the bike. Doesn't use too much clutch. So we run a little taller gearing with him, so he doesn't have to go down into first. Like you said, we have different gearbox ratios. So
Chance and Jo are on separate transmissions.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as the engine goes, we're here at Elevation. Anything has changed? I know gearing, maybe some mapping. Is this what we're doing? We had to wait a little bit on some mapping changes?
Yeah. Well, obviously at Elevation, the bikes run a lot richer, so we have to lean the mapping out. Everybody has to do that. That's a known thing when you come to Elevation. And then, a little bit in gearing, on the gearing. But obviously we've done really well here last year. So the engine package that we use, we've basically gone back to because it's tried and tested. We know it works with him. So that's pretty much where we are for this year in 25.
And just went up a tooth, and that's all we did?
From his gearing what he's been on all year, yes.
So a 50 was normal, and then we're on a 51 in the rear?
No, he was on a 51, and we've gone up to a 52.
Okay, 1352 is what we're on.
Yeah.
Okay, airbox mods, maybe you can't get in specifics, but are we cutting some of the airbox out?
No, not this year.
Okay.
New design airbox on this bike. So we tried a few things, and basically we just run a stock airbox with a slightly different air filter, which is twin air provide for us.
Right.
But apart from that, we haven't got nothing crazy now.
Electronic water pump on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you guys are at home, that's kind of the rage now in all these 250 bikes is electronic water pumps, and that frees that engine up.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't, when you have a mechanical water pump in it, obviously creates friction.
Yes.
So you take that away, and friction basically equals the horsepower to an extent. So obviously having an electronic water pump on it can give us a little bit more power. And where we are on this bike, we need everything we can get.
Exactly.
Same as everybody
especially
else.
Especially at Elevation, you know.
Yeah.
Chassis wise, look, 25 Honda chassis has changed. Now we're on, of course, a different spec there, but has his suspension evolved with the new chassis? Where are we at with the Showa suspension?
Yeah, it has evolved with Jo, definitely. We're on the same offset triple clamps as we was on last year, which are 22s.
We're on races, but maybe we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we are on races, but we can't talk about that one.
Got it.
Good call.
Yep.
But yeah, the suspension, Jo generally likes a taller bike, stiffer than most.
Oh, taller, okay.
Yeah, which is surprising because he's got little legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely had to change the suspension a fair bit to this chassis, which is actually very surprising to a lot of people. But
linkage also has changed?
yes, a linkage did change on this bike, and Joe's running the works linkage.
Okay. So obviously pull rods and the knuckle is quite a bit different than production.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
22 millimeter, obviously offset on the front, that is stock. Different HRC factory clamps. Now the show, he says he likes his bike taller, so when I watch him ride, he's a very smooth, calculated rider.
Yep.
So when we say taller, is it stiffer up top and then softer as we go, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, he just likes the bike to ride taller in the turns.
Okay.
And he doesn't like too much front end dive. That's where we go back to the mapping, how he likes it free. So he doesn't like it to dive too much, so he has it stiffer, so it gives him more hold up.
Right.
So the bike feels more settled in the turns.
The clutch. I talked this with Christian about Dean's bike. Are we on a different leverage ratio, piston sizes in this? Are we all stock? Can you give us a little bit of overview of the clutch?
Well, stock 250 actually comes with a cable clutch.
Yep.
It's only the works edition that comes with a hydraulic clutch. So this is actually a stock mass single off 9
From a works edition.
Yep. Joe runs a different angle clutch lever, I should say, and
Very flat.
Yeah, and a different knuckle. So it gives him a different engagement point.
Yes. As I'm pulling it, guys, it's a very flat lever. Seems a little bit skinnier, but very just flat. It doesn't have a lot of shape to it.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. The stock lever is a lot shorter. And he said it gives him a different kind of feel, where this gives him a nice smooth feel, like it doesn't bite right at the end.
Give us a rundown of his map switch up here. Obviously, it looks like a standard kill switch, maybe map switch, but what is this next to it right here?
So this is for the get ignition that we run on this bike. So we have we can run 2 different maps while he's riding.
Okay.
So unlike most ECU companies, he can change it on the fly.
So while he's racing, he can change it.
He can go through the air, instead of pulling tear off, he can change a map.
I'll be down.
You know? So, and it's bright light, so it's very distinctive to him, so we can see it while he's riding. And then also we have a launch control system.
Okay.
So once that's engaged, the unit next to it will actually flash to tell him that he's in our launch control system, or start map, some people might call it.
Lots of buttons going on.
It is a lot of buttons, but once you know how it works, it's actually not that bad.
Okay,
it looks very confusing, but it's actually super simple.
Almost need a pilot's license over here to figure this thing out, but otherwise, yeah, looks pretty detailed. 827 bar bend and 827 bar bend. It's 827 is like 810 millimeters long, so he doesn't cut them.
Nope. He likes them where they are.
Okay, and we're on, I didn't see the grips, so we're on tacky, ultra tacky?
Yeah, ultra tacky black grips.
Okay.
Yeah. He started it, when he came to Honda, he started on the soft white ones.
Uh-huh.
And then after riding, they was moving too much for him, so he changed over to these, and we haven't moved off of them since probably the 2nd month of him being on the Honda.
Is he picky on brakes?
Yes. Front brake, he liked it very touchy.
Okay, so very initially quick.
Yeah.
And it's
Quick.
it's run farther in.
Yeah, he
got
runs
short
it
fingers?
close. Yeah.
Okay.
Little man's hands.
Yeah.
But he runs it touchy, and also his brake pedal, he runs it very high, so he doesn't ride the rear brake.
We talked about his whole cockpit a little bit, but his foot peg offset is a little bit different. Where are we at here?
Yeah, well, most of the guys actually run them up so the pegs sit up a little, but he runs, it's a works hanger,
Okay.
but the actual peg sits down a little bit flatter, more like a stock bike.
So being him a little bit shorter, he doesn't really compensate with offset that much.
No, he doesn't like the feel of it on his feet. Basically, he says it makes his, turns his feet out, having them raised up.
Bar mounts, stock height compared. I know Christian said 36 millimeters is where Dino is. Obviously, he's very tall. So where's
Well,
Joe
Joe's actually 5 mil lower.
Okay.
So he's on 31s. And then he runs them a little bit more back towards himself, so it's a little closer to him.
Out of all this prestigious looking motorcycle and the factory HRC brand, what is your most proud piece on this thing? Christian said everything. It's basically he waffled. I don't want you to waffle.
Yeah, well, Christian does waffle, but he's good at it,
Okay.
to be honest. I've always said that I love the front brake caliper.
Yep.
That factory piece is really cool. But honestly, the foot pegs are really cool. Once you get them all cleaned up, polished up, I think they're a really nice item on the bike that, to me, is really cool.
And this is basically a stock lever just polished up?
No, that's a works lever,
Okay.
yeah.
It looks like a stock shaped lever.
It is. It's a same bend as a stock one, but it's just a works one. Just it's a little stronger. And then, yeah, we just give it the old the fluff up, make it look nice.
Just playing with its bars a little bit. A lot of the guys that I've been feeling their bars and their clutch and their brake setups, Joe's pretty loose on the steering.
Yeah. If you watch Joe, he moves the bike around a lot in the air. Not that he's doing big whips or stuff, but he's like compensates with big balance, and he feels like if he has a stiff headset, bike feels stiff and rigid to him. So he does run it a little looser than most, but...
Coming from the brothers where they run, they're really stiff.
Yes, exactly, yeah. But for me, this is kind of like a normal feel.
Yes, correct.
But because we're used to everybody else running it stiffer and they run a steering dampener, it feels a little odd.
Yes. Obviously, spec tires here.
Yeah.
I've been asking about tire pressures. Most of the time, I've been getting 13 rear, 11 and a half, 12 in the front. Where are we at here?
Yeah, well, Joe's actually on an older front tire, which has got a softer carcass in it. So we actually run his front tire a little more. He's a 13 on the front and 12.5 on the rear.
Yeah, I noticed the spec Dunlop tire is pretty stiff.
Yes.
So he's more of like a 3SF kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Because for you guys out there who wonder what a spec tire feels like, sure, it does have a lot of lean angle grip, but you got to push really hard into the corner to feel the benefit. So,
oh, for sure.
And he's light on the bike, it feels like.
Yeah, he's very easy on the bike. Me as a mechanic, he doesn't rip my bike up at all.
Oh, so clutch, he's pretty good?
Unless he's having a bad day, he gets a little bit frustrated. He's generally really good on the clutches. Like, we change them just because we can, but it's very rare that I pull a clutch and I'm like, oh my God, he's burnt this one out. You know, usually I can just put it straight back in. And like all the plastic and stuff, he doesn't really scratch it up too much. He doesn't grip a great deal with his knees, more of his ankles. He wears my grip tapes out, but apart from that, he's not that heavy.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Dino has grip tape everywhere, obviously being longer.
Yeah.
Is this a shorter seat? Or?
No, this is a stock seat.
Okay.
Stock foam, normal height.
Maybe because I'm coming from Dean, it looks really tall, so maybe this looks low. So
yeah,
now this
probably,
is
because he's got a lot flatter seat, the big man.
One last thing before we head off here, the hubs.
Yep.
I came up here and that's the first thing I noticed. So tell us about the hubs and the wheels.
Well, the hubs they're HRC hubs.
Okay, so factory hubs.
They're factory works hubs, which get
When we
sent to
say
us.
factory hubs, what does that mean? I mean, you ride a lot, right?
Yeah.
So what is the difference between a factory hub and a W hub we can buy?
Well, from what I understand, it's the material.
Okay.
Because they're a billet made.
Magnesium?
No, it's just
a billet.
Just a billet.
Okay.
Like, they're all made the same way.
Yeah.
And obviously a stock wheel, generally the hub's a cast piece and then they're milled out. But these are like fully handmade hubs.
Got it.
So, and then we obviously have to use a works spoke, and then we just have an XL LTX rim.
And then you're a fan of wiring the spokes.
Yes.
So that's just in safety.
It's just a safety thing, yeah. Like,
it's an old off-road trick.
I know, yeah. Well, you do see some people, and they actually put a cable tie on it.
Yep.
Just for easy.
Yep.
Make it a little easier. But we do it because if you break a spoke, you can ride with
Correct.
2-3 spokes broken, and if it's just in line, then it's going to keep going. But if it's not wide and it pops out, it could go in a brake rotor, or it could go in a sprocket, derail the chain, and then that's another thing that can give you a DNF,
right.
basically.
So you people at home, maybe he's not breaking a wheel when he's landing off a jump. So the thing that it's gonna get these guys is a foot peg going inside. First corner or a block pass. This is where these spokes get damaged. It's not so much during the race, it's just other competitors doing things to the wheels.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Press chains. Maybe a lot of these guys that watch this don't know about press chains. I run a DID ERT3. You guys run press chains. How does that work?
Yeah, well, this is still a DID ERT3 chain. We run on Joe's bike, but we run what they call a press link.
Okay.
So basically, you don't have a normal clip link. It's a pressed on plate, and then you flare out the pins. It's a safety thing, really. Obviously, it's very rare that a clip will ever come off, but it's something else that can happen, and it can obviously give you, it can end your race. So we're trying to eliminate all of them things. So running a press link is another, not that the chain can't snap, because they can snap, but if you can eliminate one more thing, this is one more thing we can eliminate.
Factory chain blocks?
Yeah.
And then when you measure a chain, I know this is more about Joe's bike, but I'm curious about your input here. When you measure a chain, how do you measure from each side? Like, what's your specific routine?
Well, for me, so a little bit different. To get chain tension, I have a preset block.
Okay.
So I know it's exactly the same every time. There's no discrepancies. But for the chain, it's what I do when I'm measuring on the chain block. I've got a very small, like, engineer's rule, and I push it up to the back of the block. I get it roughly, and then I measure.
Okay.
Just so I know, because obviously swing arm length's always the same.
Right.
So I go from the back of the block to the back of the swing arm, measure both sides, and then I know it's true. And then I actually look all, and here's our rider here, look. We're just on camera here, Joe.
Oh.
And then, yeah, we put that on there, and then I obviously look down the chain and make sure it's in line as well, because you just never know.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Jo Shimoda just graced us with his presence, and that's a wrap on the number 30 HRC Factory Honda. Ben, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can check out more videos here at racerxonline.com, and you can actually subscribe to a magazine that's different than what we have here on the online. So $30, 12 issues, get a calendar, something free, always something different. Check us out, racerxonline.com, and 12 issues, $30. See you in the next video.